What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Midnight Manor at Fantastic Fest 2025. We've got the other half of the VHS Halloween crew here. Huge congratulations on your movie.
Thank you
so much.
So I am going to start with two group questions. One just came up on the spot because of what you were talking about before, and I am always going to take an opportunity to sing Shudder's praises because I think it is one of the best curated streaming services and libraries out there. What do you all love most about Shudder? What are they doing that maybe other streaming services are not?
I would love to just give them props for the aesthetics and how easy it is to navigate. And it is one of the most pleasing places to go look for something to watch. And it's so easy, but also the taste and the range is so specific and purposeful.
They understand their audience and they understand what a streaming platform should be, in my opinion. They understand that, you need a constant drip feed of high quality movies, not too many, not too few, but just the right amount. And it should be about voices, and it should be really about looking at it. To me, they look at it as films and not content. And I think that is what the North Star of streaming media should be as it, slowly takes over everything.
I mean, I was picking Sam Zimmerman's brain about this in our drive to the airport yesterday. Like, to me, there's such a precise, and this is just as a fan, like, for years, I'm like, any Shudder original they're dropping in September or October is A tier. And then I know they also have like this kind of winter A tier. And then I was telling him, I'm like, but I feel like that A tier is kind of like 10 months out of the year now, where you have like marquee films of the year coming out in August. And he's like, yeah, we're trying to like not be a 2-month thing as we were 7 years ago. And I think that constant appearance of what we want, because you don't have a credible genre film, horror film released in theaters every 2 weeks. There's nothing harder than having a brand that stands for something and doesn't get diluted. There's nothing harder in any form of the world, food, media, clothing, like everything gets watered down eventually. And it seems to be going the opposite direction after a decade, which is like anomalous in American capitalism.
Very well put.
This is a dumb example, but like Netflix, although I still want to work for you, Netflix, like they'll have some, maybe I shouldn't even be doing it. You need to strike this, but like they'll have witty comedies and it'll have like, there's something about Mary. And I'm like, that is a broad comedy. To me, a witty comedy is like in the dialogue and everything. So it's like, they're not curating it and thinking about category. Sometimes they're not thinking about it as a fan. And I think Shudder, they're fans,
Fans
Sorry,
first.
Netflix, please still hire me.
Last thing also, they support theatrically released movies
Yes, they do.
increasingly, which, guys, come on, every streaming network out there, please follow
And physical
Shudder.
media.
And physical media. So
right.
Shudder is showing up and showing off.
Name dropping
10
all the
years.
essential points right now. I like it. Before I get into your specific segments, I did want to throw one other group question your way. And it's something that I pretty much always ask in this room whenever a team of VHS filmmakers come in, because I think it's a really important thing to emphasize. For each of you, can you name something about the VHS filmmaking process that is uniquely creatively fulfilling? Something you're able to do making a VHS segment that you can't do anywhere else in this industry?
Catastrophic risk of failure with like any mistake you make is going to wreck your segment because you have 5 days. You don't have enough money for those days. And like, so what I'm going to say is very complimentary to everyone here, everyone who's made a VHS segment. You cannot make a good VHS segment as a mediocre filmmaker. You cannot. It requires you to be present in the moment at every moment because they find talent and they say, you guys can withstand that storm. You guys can turn something out that's going to be good with those limitations. And that to me is the most interesting thing about making it.
I think like VHS is like the ultimate warrior competition where like you're being pushed to your extreme as an artist to be as ambitious, to go against all odds, to make something that seems impossible possible. And I agree with my husband here that you really can't be mediocre to do VHS. And it's just a collection of talent continuously with every segment. And I'm so proud to have our names with everybody this year. And I think the creativity, the complete and utter freedom of creativity with VHS, we will, as filmmakers, will not experience probably ever again. I don't know. Not at Netflix.
We'd also like to work there.
Yes, I think collectively.
Oh yeah, like I did feel that the producers, like shout out to Josh Goldblum, they were not trying to round off the corners of our stuff. They were like could this have more blood? I'm like, yes, let's do it again with more blood. And that felt great.
Yeah, it's this like kind of anomalous Venn diagram of like a fair amount of money for a modest amount of minutes, an absurd amount of freedom for something with a very high profile. And all of us were shooting with October 3rd release date, which is remarkable. You know, what percentage of things get made, knowing what day it comes out. But beyond that, as a fan of these and as a day one watcher of the last 4 films that this team has made with this franchise, to make something with a release date and knowing that every single fan is coming to that movie, if not the day it comes out, then throughout the month of October. It's not something that there's no buy-in on it for people, because I'm watching it no matter what, no matter who's making them, no matter what the theme is, I'm watching it. And I know there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people that are like, yeah, whatever it is, I'm watching it. I trust the name. I trust these producers to curate. And knowing like this will be seen. It's not like this is going to come out and who cares. It's like, no, all the nerds are going to watch this right away. And I know that because that is me. And that's a lot of pressure, because this has to be a part of somebody's very good October night. And you only get so many of those. You can't watch a bad movie. There's nothing worse than when it's October 20th and you're down to the wire and the movie you choose is bad.
It's important.
It's very, very difficult when that happens.
I am definitely one of those people as well. I will always come back for more VHS as a fan, and I often think about the fact that as a person working in this particular industry, in this line of work, I don't think there's any franchise that has more heavily defined my journey as, in particular, I guess, a horror journalist than this franchise. It has been with me since day one. And then there's so many filmmakers that I've followed well after their VHS debut where, I don't know, it's like my web has grown. And so I'm endlessly indebted to this franchise for kind of shaping the horror lover and also the professional that I've become. So I just have to say that because I appreciate it.
Professional.
I try.
I'm a big fan.
Sometimes
you already
I'm
know.
not super professional because I'm like stalking your set in a corner, like taking pictures the entire time.
I got a good BTS photo of her on set.
Probably always the biggest grin on my face when watching that kind of stuff
time.
in action. All right, let's get into some specifics. Casper, you're first on my list, and you're going to get one of my favorite writing questions here. I want to know what idea number 1 was, the thing that started this all for you, but then I also want to know if you had a break story moment, something you came up with along the way that made your segment feel whole.
That's a great question. I think it was the hand pulling in someone from the basket, and then another breakthrough. And it's somebody else gave me the idea. It's going to shock you that it came this late. Is Sierra Russell, one of the practical effects people who did like the face molds and so on? She said on the conveyor belts, I should have monitors that are showing what's going on inside of the conveyor belt. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? I'm running with that so hard, so I got to give her props. That made it. Yeah, so God bless her.
I also want to hear a little bit about the evolution of the look of Fun Size and Fun Size's assistant. What did that design look like day one, and how does it compare to what everyone sees in the finished film?
It was a lot of iteration. I did that with Shane Morton, another Atlanta person who I've worked with a long time. We did Cheddar Goblin together for Mandy, and it was just a lot of iteration, and I just wanted it to look like humanoid candy, and just simplifying it and putting less on the face and less until it felt right.
Just delightful. I love it. Micheline R.H., I'll come your way with a very similar question, because the creative possibilities when designing a home haunt are absolutely endless. Can you kind of paint a picture of what that looked like when you first came up with this idea and how it evolved every step of the way?
Well, there's also this classic Americana with home haunts, and they have the same rooms. But I also have this vintage book from the 60s with these 2 guys that were magicians wrote on how to make your own home haunt. And it's in our segment as a little Easter egg. So we knew we needed to follow suit of what that classic Americana home haunt was.
Yeah, if you're in the 80s and 90s, you'd go in the home haunts, and they would always have, you know, you would always have the witch, the green witch, which is our big bad. You know, they'd always have the sheet ghost. But then the other ones that were very classic to American, they kind of disappeared. You had an executioner. There was always a torture room, an execution room. And you didn't have zombies. You had ghouls. And that was very important to us. It was like, it can't be zombies and they can't be in a graveyard. They got to be ghouls in a crypt because that was there. So
our first thing was the green classic Halloween witch, though. She was like the first thing we knew we wanted to do, and like the most important character for me that was like a creature in a world was her, because it also reflects our work the most that we've done previously with that set that we built and make, and just the kind of little baby diorama world.
People are always talking about green witches eating kids, and they never do.
And they never do.
So
and we finally did it. I wish we could have done more of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw most of what you were doing on set. The only thing that I didn't see, and I only heard you explain to me, was the sheet ghost aspect. And I'm like, that sounds really cool, but how are you going to do that? And looks real good. It looks real good.
Justin Martinez is our VFX artist who made that look real good, because
that was a harrowing process with the white sheets. That was a cool idea, and then we really had to figure that out in the moment. And
how
a lot
do we
of that
make
had
these
to do
not
with,
look stupid?
It just came flooding back to me that he probably has a hand on most, if not all,
everyone's
of these.
segment. He's amazing.
He's a rock star.
Yeah.
He's the real MVP. We're all big Justin Martinez fans.
Oh, I don't blame you.
As a filmmaker too.
I sat next to him at the screening, and I wanted to be able to compliment him when the shots came up, but I couldn't tell what was practical and what he had done. He's so good. I mean, don't you agree?
Oh my God,
yeah,
incredible.
it's unbelievable.
And then
he's
it's on
one
to-
person doing all of our segments in that turnaround time. We finished, what, July 16th?
Yeah, I was making a joke to him the other day. I was like, every time I had to call you and bother you and ask him for something he probably couldn't do, I just imagined him like smoking 3 cigarettes at the same time.
Just like hating us.
Yeah, because he was really a rock star. Yeah.
Do you want to give a Justin shout out, especially with yours, where I feel like it's the prime example of one of my favorite forms of VFX, which is invisible VFX.
Well, I'll embarrass myself. I didn't know that we had the option of using VFX until after we shot. So I wrote and shot. And then after we shot, they were like, do you guys want to fill anything out for the VFX tracker? And we were like, what do you mean? So we did utilize this resource once we had it. We shot first. I wish I had known that I could have baked some of those ideas in and been like, you can do this. But I'm really just exposing myself as perpetually underprepared and asking too few questions of producers.
I was just talking with Adam behind the scenes over there before this. Sometimes being underprepared and being able to pivot on the spot and find that unexpected magic is the way to go.
During certain moments of flaying, which were done practically, Justin graciously added ligaments and tendrils connecting the flesh to the body as it moves away, which I was extremely grateful for.
I feel like there's been so many things said in your interview and the previous one I did, where if someone hears just like a single phrase out of context, they'd be like, what the fuck are they talking about?
We're going to end up on a list.
So right for VHS. Well, speaking of that, one thing that I did want to ask you was figuring out how far to push it, because like there's death in every single one. Yours might feel like the darkest of the bunch. So did you have any limitations, any line you didn't want to cross?
The first thing I was told by Shudder folks was Beyond was very heightened and very fantastic in its premise, and everybody ran with it. Our intention this year is to hard pivot 180. And I right away was like, that would be my instinct as a creator if I came up with 10 ideas anyway. And I love these films. I've seen them all. I reviewed them all. Very, very rarely does anything happen to honest to God children in them. Hardly ever, I would say. Now it's happened twice, back to back.
Yes, it did.
Perhaps the result of other filmmakers looking at this franchise and saying, like, there's stuff in here that I would explore as a storyteller that no one else has put in here. And it's just, as a parent, my first instinct was like, the only thing that really scares me is a consistently terrible thing happening to children. That scares me more than the devil, who I feel like we can handle. But something happening to children, it's like, I don't like that. So that's where I wanted to go. No, I didn't feel like we were taking it too far. I mean, it's like, video nasties are bread and butter.
To kind of build on that with all four of you now, one thing I'm really curious about is with each of your segments, striking the right balance between, yes, scaring viewers and doing things like killing kids and all that kind of stuff, but also never losing the fact that this is a VHS that that celebrates and loves the holiday.
That you're nailing like our toughest challenge, because we got the same notes as like, well, this has to be really scary, and you know, our first instinct, because we had so many kids and ours was about a home haunt maze, and it'd be really weird if you had a bunch of adults just walking through a home haunt maze and horrible things happen to them. It's like, no, we have to kill the kids, and you know, but we also have this kind of like Amblin feeling of like, you know, joy and all this stuff, and it's hard to make that really cynical and horrifying. So Micheline and I really had to like dial in the tone, and what that really came to was us talking to the producers, like, okay, you guys want us to make this upsetting and scary, we're just going to kill as many kids as we possibly can.
Shifted and decided to kill a lot of kids in really messed up ways and like gory ways to kind of offset the fantastical and magicalness of our segment.
And it's also a more palatable. It's a more palatable way to deal with children's deaths, because like you watch Kid Print. Am I allowed to talk like spoilers or this or no? Or
Yeah, no. I feel like this is going to come out when it's available.
Okay.
So now that we've just said that and made the disclaimer, people know.
it's not even a spoiler. It's just like you know, they paired ours with Alex's, and that ended up being kind of an interesting thing, because like the way that he depicted the horror was like these almost like echoes, right? These echoes of these kids that were on these videotapes, and they're there, and that creates a certain type of horror where he could not do what we did in terms of like exploding children, you know. So it was interesting in terms, because if he did that with his, it would cross a line probably too far, and with ours, if we had something that kind of subtle or granular, it would have also made it weird about a haunted house maze. So Micheline and I really had to work with like dialing in the tone and making it all cohesive and having just the right amount of fun and humor, but also like making it a little bit hard to watch for people who are not as desensitized as we are.
Not an easy balance to strike.
Yeah, it's funny, like so much of this is like, are we talking spoilers? And it's like, guys, I've seen every VHS segment. Every character is dead at the end of every one.
Except for ours. We're the first segment where the main characters don't die.
Ever?
Is
Ever.
that?
All right, this is
wow.
Wait, but also I would say the first one, Anna's.
Well, no, I think
Well,
They live.
They
but
get turned eventually in that
trouble.
weird
Yeah.
thing,
They live.
and I don't know if that thing lives.
The blanket
They're not-
spoiler is
they're
whoever
not getting out of that house.
whoever leads you in tends to not turn out so well.
Yes.
But you know, like something I find very interesting about these films that I was thinking about last night, and I say this is not judgment. Like, I don't think these movies are scary, because I really think it's almost impossible, if not completely impossible, to create a mood in 20 minutes that is scary, is upsetting.
scare.
Casper's been talking today, or someone's been talking today about, we're talking about our favorite horror movies.
We've had 2 hours of sleep,
Someone's
guys.
talking about The Vanishing. Someone's talking about we're talking about The Vanishing. We're talking about the final moments of Blair Witch. We're talking about things that are built on 90 minutes of setup for a payoff that is haunting. And in 20 minutes, you simply cannot do that. The goals of these films, scares are in play, but the mood of 20 minutes is fun and shocking and pop and, you know, depending, absurd, upsetting, like somewhere in that spectrum. These are all parts of the experience of horror, which is to say a good horror movie cannot be scary, because you can't create that much investment in time to have a payoff.
you can push some buttons though.
Yeah, but so it's an interesting thing where everyone making this loves the genre and is encyclopedic in their own way. But the one thing you can't do is lure the viewer in for very long, because you have to start paying off roughly within 10 minutes. And that's really logistically hard. That's narratively hard. That's hard while you're shooting, and it's really hard to edit. But that means that the experience of 2-hour VHS is a series of killer moments, more than you'd get in a horror movie that takes its time. So it's just pure fun. And again, this is feeding into the fan base that I'm a part of like, yeah, it's pure fun. And it's not the same as a long, dreadful thing that pays off with a pit in your stomach.
Fair point. But as I think about all of your segments, and the others for that matter, you all take a really nice amount of time at the beginning just to set the main characters up. And I feel like that does envelop you in the world really, really quick. And when you only have 20 minutes to work with, that is something else.
I'm going to agree with you. I felt that watching it, like everyone developed characters, and it wasn't like just cannon fodder where you're like, wait, which one is that one again? Is that, it was very distinct characters, and it had thematic situations. It was, underpinning it as well. It was great.
This format fascinates me, and it delights me to know, and it fills me up as a horror lover and also as someone who is fascinated by the filmmaking process to no end. I'm going to say huge congratulations on VHS Halloween, and thanks for coming by and sharing some of your experience with us.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Barry.
Barry.
It's always an honor.